everyone and welcome to this module. So we are gradually making progress towards the structured query language module. And in this video, we are going to have an overview of what all we will be learning in this section. So this video is going to be like an introduction to SQL. We are going to understand what is the basic purpose of learning SQL and why we are actually learning SQL. And we will have a walkthrough of all the various topics that we will be learning in this section. So let's get started with the video. So the main agenda is why SQL. You must be having this question in mind that why are we not using Excel? We will still be using Excel, then why are we suddenly going to learn SQL? Now let's have this straight. Although Excel is a great tool and it is highly used by each and every corporate, there is some physical storage limitation that Excel has. So roughly it can store about 1 million data, and if you want the more specific number, here you have that you can actually store these many number of rows by these many number of columns. But what happens in the real life scenario is that often businesses have billions and trillions of data to store. Thus, we cannot store that data in Excel, and therefore we need to store that data in database. Now, SQL is the most efficient, widely used and easy to use language that is used for database management and interacting with the data that is stored in the database. So whether it is creating the database, creating the tables inside that database, whether it is about inserting new data into the database or updating the existing data, deleting the not required data, whatever it is, we can do all of these operations and much more with the help of SQL or structured query language. It is most widely used and adopted, and this is open source and definitely very cost effective, and that's why you can do from all the simple tasks to the most complex tasks related to data management and database management using SQL. So with the help of SQL, we can create relations among tables. So mainly it is used for handling the relational database management systems. And relational database management is basically management of that data that is stored in the form of tables. So we will be mainly talking about relational data, which essentially means those data that is stored in the form of tables. And each table is going to have rows and columns, just like Excel. So you can draw the relation, you can actually build the relation between different data. Like in this particular image, you can see that we have an item data set where we have the item details. We also have a company data set where we have the company details, and here we also have another data set which includes some of the columns of the company's data set as well as some of the columns of the item data set. So in this way we can actually relate multiple data sets, and thereby we can create the relation that is going to help us to get the data from 2 or more tables. So these are some advanced concepts that we will be learning in the further videos. So now let's see what are all the different topics that we will be learning in this module. So first, we will be initially starting with the basics of data management, where we will be learning about SQL basics, database basics, and how to write SQL queries from the very basic ones to the most advanced ones. Next, we will be studying about the fundamental commands, which includes create, select, insert, alter, or update. So with these commands, we will be able to create databases, create tables. We will be able to query the data that is present in the database or in the tables using the select command. We will be able to insert new data in the tables. We can alter or modify or update the already existing data that is present in the tables. So all of these we will be learning with the help of the fundamental commands. Next, we will learn how we can filter or sort the data. So as I've already said, that if we have a huge data set, but we only want some particular rows or some particular records from that data set that satisfy a particular condition, in that case, we need to apply data filtering concepts. We might also want to sort the data in certain order, right? It can be ascending or descending order. So in that case, we need to apply the sorting functions. So these are some of the functions or clauses that we will be using. Like we have the where operator, order by, or, and, not, in between, like. These are used for defining the range in which the data should lie. For example, if I want the records of those people who have their last name either Hansen or Peterson, we can apply this kind of a function where we are actually going to compare all the records which are present in the original table, and we are going to filter only those records where the last name is equals to Hansen and Peterson. So these are certain examples. We will look at more examples when we will be dealing with these functions and commands in the future videos. Next, we have aggregate and group by functions. So here we will be using operators like sum, average. In case you want to get the average marks that is attained by all the students in a particular class, we can do that using the average function. If we want to get the sum of the marks that I've attained in all the 5 subjects, I can do that using the sum operator. So on and so forth. We have the count operator, which helps us to get the count of the total number of records. Then we have the min, max, which helps us to get the minimum record as well as the maximum record respectively. We have group by and having clause. So with the help of aggregate and group by operators and clauses, you will be able to answer questions like what is the total number of students who are taking the particular exam. So if we want the count of all the students who are taking a particular exam, we can do that using the count function. If I want to get the maximum salary that is earned by all the employees who belong to the sales department, I will be able to do this using aggregate and group by functions as well. So these kind of questions can be easily answered with the help of these functions and operators. Next, we will move on to the more advanced concepts, which are joins, which actually help us to retrieve the data from 2 or more tables. So here are some of the SQL joins that you can see in the image as well. We will be looking at inner joins, outer joins, left join, right join, cross join, except and union clauses. So all of these will make more sense once we dive deep into these lessons or dive deep into these topics into the further videos. Then we will be moving on towards more advanced topics, which includes subqueries, which are nothing but a query inside a query. So here we have a main query, and in that main query we have another query which is called the subquery. Then we have views, we have indexes as well, which are nothing but query performance improvising or improving techniques. Then we will be looking at string functions, which will help us to handle the strings. Here we will be looking at upper and lower functions, which will help us to convert all the lowercase characters to upper and uppercase to lowercase respectively. Then we will be looking at some trim functions, which will help us to trim any white space that is present in the left or right side of the string. Then we will look at the substring functions, replace functions, concat, which will help us to concat multiple strings to create a single string, some string aggregate functions as well. So in this example, you can see we are applying the ltrim function on this particular string that is going to return the same string but with the removed left white space. Then we will be looking towards the mathematical functions. Some of the examples are ceil, floor, random. Here we will learn how to generate random numbers, then round function, power. So all of these are some of the functions that we will be learning in the mathematical function section. Next, we will be looking at the date time functions. This is a very important concept. It helps us to get the current date, current time. If you want to get the date difference between two particular dates, or for instance, let's say I want to calculate the age of a particular person on this particular day. So what I can do is I can actually get the date difference from his birth date to this particular date. So in this way, I can get the age as of today. then we can get the month or year from a particular date. Like if I want to extract just the year of a particular date, I can do that. So here you can see the example. Here this is the syntax basically for the date difference, where we have to pass two dates within which or between which we want to calculate the difference. Next, we have the data type conversion functions, which actually help us to convert from one data type to another. So here we have to string, to date, to time. These functions we will be looking at the further videos. So here you can see we are using the convert function. So with this we can actually convert a date to a character format. Like if I get with the help of get date function, I'm going to get today's date, and if I want to store that in the format of a string, I can use these conversion functions. Lastly, we will be looking at pattern matching functions. Some of them are going to be like and the regex operators or regex functions, that is going to help us to compare a string. For example, in this example you can see that I want to insert into a particular table certain values. Okay, first I'm inserting in the table two values, so two records are inserted, and after the insertion is done, I would want to query or retrieve that particular record from the table only where the value is something like SQL underscore 20 and a percentage symbol is put, which is nothing but a wildcard character. So we will be learning about wildcard characters which help us in these pattern matching. So these are some of the advanced topics that we will be looking at as well.